Hope you all watched the previous video where I gave you an outline of how your HR interview is going to look like, which is actually the fourth round and the process of recruitment of Accenture this year. So here's a sample interview where it happened with a candidate, and I'll take you through the questions that was actually asked and how the interview went on. So as the first one, as I told you, they're going to talk to you for a minute where they will make you feel comfortable with them. So make sure you utilize this opportunity to build a good rapport with the HR, which is very essential and is going to help you out throughout the interview, which is for the next 30 minutes. So the first question that was asked was potentially introduce yourself. So this is going to happen in a flow where they're going to introduce themselves first and then they're going to ask you this question. Yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself. So when they introduce themselves, they're going to tell about who they are, what's their role, or what's their designation in Accenture, and what they're going to deal with. That's it. Nothing much. So when they ask you the same question after introducing themselves, make sure you are diplomatic in answering that particular section. And as I told you, I do suggest to watch a video on introducing yourself in an effective way. Because first impression matters a lot, guys. You don't get a second chance for first impression. So please do take care of it. And once you are done with your self-introduction, the next one was directly into the project. Explain about your project in detail. So in this case, you are expected to explain a project, what it is meant for, and what are the advantages of your project, and how many members were there if it's a teamwork, and if it's an individual project, please do mention that it's your individual effort. So once done with that, the third question that was asked was, what was your role and contribution in that particular project? People tend to have curiosity to know what was your particular role in any project that you have done. So what is your major contribution that you have given? So make sure you process as if you have done the major part of the project, whether it's an individual project or let it be a project which involved a teamwork. So make sure you give an impressive answer for that. And then the question was, what's the proposed business logic behind your project? For example, this is what you have done in your 0th review of any project in your final year. So you have a business proposal, like why this project? What's the need of this particular project? Why have you chosen to do this project? Or what enhancement do you wish to do in the project, which if it already exists? So make sure you have answers for all of this. Knowing the ins and outs of your project is very, very important when you go for an interview. And the next one was, what are the programming languages you know? So this question was directly into your programming skills. So make sure it is relevant with the coding that you have done, not something else. So, and moving forward, so the sixth question was, rate yourself in Java on a scale of 1 to 10. For this question, beware that you have to have supporting statements, because why will be the next question. It is evident. So make sure you have an answer. For example, if I tell like 4 or 6, why not 8 or 10? That will be the question. So the moment I answer, let's say, and the answer is 8, the next question will be, for example, if it's Java, the next question will be like, and obviously the next question was like, rate yourself in C or C++. So people tend to have a psychological effect. Okay, I said 4 and the HR asked me why not 8 or 10. So let me just do like 8 for C or C++. So make sure you have a good justification on your part. Don't get carried away. These are just minor parts of psychological play, and it deals with a bit of objection handling as well. So make sure you are good with this. So rate yourself in Java 1 to 10, followed by which the candidate has said 5, and the next question was, why not 8 or 9? The next was again back on C or C++. So please do rate yourself. And once that is done, they move on to the next programming language, that's Python. Okay, if you're learning Python, where are you learning from? That was the question. If so, and then it was like, why from there? Why not from any other source? So make sure you have supporting statements for the rebuttal that you give. And then it was like, do you have any certifications? Have you done any certifications? If so, why? What made you think that you want to do that certification? What drove you to do it? What was the driving force? So, have answers for all of this. And it also jumped back. What was the major problem that you faced during your project? What was the major problem that you faced? So make sure, don't tell that you didn't have any problems. Make sure you come up with a problem and back it up with an effective answer. Like there was this particular issue where I contributed this or I did this in order to resolve the issue. So have some fancy answers for that. Make sure it's logical. Don't let them ask you like, don't you know that this will happen the first time? And then they would ask you like, what was your guide's response when you first pitched your project? So have an answer for that. And the last one was, how do you think that your project is better than the other ones that are in the market? Or for this, you have to answer it in a way like, what enhancements you have done in your project, or what advancements you have done. How come does it overcome the flaws that exists in the present day market projects? So have good answers for that. And the last one was, what are your short-term goals? So tell them a good or an impressive goal that you have as a short-term goal. Don't just tell like, I want to get this job, this, that. No. Make sure you come up with something that's interesting. Okay. And the last one, as I told you, was, do you have any questions for us? So this candidate has asked like, who were your inspirations when you joined this company? Which is quite an interesting one. So that was quite impressive. And after answering this question, even one of the interviewers has asked her, how do you think I answered your question? Sometimes you didn't have a good communication, which usually happens if you build a good rapport with an interviewer. So that was it all for, they just said that's all from our side. It was nice meeting you. So that's it. So I just wrapped up giving an answer for like 20 or 30 seconds. Make sure you give a good answer which lasts like for a minute or two. That would be decent and sufficient. Guys, the more you talk, the more the chance of getting selected in any interview. So have that perspective or have that mindset and crack it. All the best.